am prayer for my country. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a ruin man. Pray for my country. I want to say a prayer to the Lord for my nation. I want to say a prayer for all them faults. Also make the master to brighten their vision. Give them the inspiration to look beyond the horizon. Too long we living in bitterness and hate. Now the time is right for us to renew our faith. I'm sick and tired of all the confusion. The bickering been going on much too long. So as we move to the new century, Father, hear my plea. Hey, Father, I pray for the PM to find solution for we problems. Oh Father, I pray for every minister to see eye to eye with each other. Oh Father, I pray for progress. I pray for stability. I pray for happiness and a whole lot of love in my country. Father, I pray for the police. Please inspire them to keep the peace. I pray for the judge and the jury and those who begging for their mercy. Oh Father, I pray and I pray, I pray and I pray. I pray for the good and the bad man. I pray and I pray, I pray and I pray. I pray for the whole of my nation. Father, hear my prayer. A prayer for my country.
Yes, listeners, it's another Wednesday morning, and as per usual, when you hear the voice of Ajamu, you know it is the conversation with the RGPF. Yes, I was away for 2 weeks, not out of Grenada, away from the program, the conversation with the RGPF. But from all indication and all news, it was 2 weeks worth it for you to reacquaint yourself with Constable Callis. And I know, based on information, that he has did a good job as per usual. When you hear Jamu, the conversation, it is an Eastern Division thing. But as per usual, we say, whatever we say on the conversation, it does not mean that it's not relevant to you wherever you are in your square corner, right? And that's the reality. That's the truth about it. I need to do like Mr. Donald and able to maneuver my voice. So when you hear it on the radio station, you hear one thing. And when you see me outside it, I wonder if that is her. Not just saying it is her because you hear the voice. I don't know how I'll achieve that, but So to those of you viewing Real FM, technology has taken us to that level. So those of you who is tuned in to Real FM 91.9, 91.5 this morning, you also have that opportunity, as usual, to stream online, whether it is via YouTube or any other mechanism, Facebook or whatever you choose to look at. But to you, our radio listeners, 91.5, 91.9, you stick and stay to the dial, and of course, you will have an informative program. It will be one that you would remember. And bear in mind, we are heading into, what again it is? Easter, yes. Easter have a lot of meaning for us, and it depends on how you intend to interpret Easter. And Easter 2024 for us is also a bit different. We have another big activity apart from the celebration of Easter. We do have a big activity celebrating this weekend as well. And all I want to say on that note is that let us all as Grenadians come together, pool all of our resources, all hands on deck, and let us keep that dot on the map right there with positivity. We know we would have mix, and different things would happen, but it is another milestone for us to kiss ourselves, to let us know even if we fall, dust our feet and get up and move again, okay? So I'm asking all, and those of you who have not even heard, call a neighbor, call a friend, and of course, if you see something, hear something, know something, I urge you to say something, and it's so we can make the fear of crime reduce, and even that of the commission of crime. One of the situations that is bugging us in society today is that of the invasion of gun crimes and violent behavior. But as I always say, listeners, you know, yes. And if you don't know, you hear. And if you did not hear, you see something. So in so doing, you can share it with us. And I always ask in every program that you find a police officer within your policing district, the station that serves you. Find a police that you're comfortable with, that you can have that kind of one-on-one conversation where you can pass those information. We are not important. We don't check on who passed the information. We are interested in the information as long as it is truthful and detailed. So what we'll do, we'll jump back into the theme song, Pray for our Nation. I already have my guest in studio with me, and those of you who is viewing online, you would realize. Bella, good morning, and we salute you just the same. So those of you who is online, you will see, I get to see who my guest is already. But those of you who are listening via the radio, you would hear him shortly, because the northern eastern corridor along the Eastern time need to hear that program this morning. And the program would be a bit twofold. So my guest would give you some pertinent information. We'll have that discussion. And there is some other information that I would like to share with you, because whenever we have those holidays and we know John Public is away from home, or there is some changes in stuff, yes, there is things that we need to disseminate to you. So we would let you know, because we're not going to ambush you. We're not going to take you by storm, okay? Because we expect and depend to work with you as our community members. So we go right back into our theme song, Pray for the Nation by Ajamu. And of course, we need it. Each one of us, all on sundry, we need for him to shower down his blessings. So we'll go right back into Ajamu, Pray for our Nation, and right thereafter, the conversation with the RGPF. Stick and stay, Real FM 91.9.
Exalt the nation, but sin is a reproach to any man. Pray for me country. I want to say a prayer to the Lord for my nation. I want to say a prayer for all them politicians. I want to beg the master to brighten their vision. Give them the inspiration to look beyond the horizon. Too long we living in bitterness and hate. Now the time is right for us to renew our faith. I'm sick and tired of all the confusion. The bickering been going on much too long. So as we move to the new century, Father, hear my plea. Hey, Father, I pray for the PM to find solution for we problems. Oh, Father, I pray for every minister to see eye to eye with each other. Oh, Father, I pray for progress. I pray for stability. I pray for happiness. And a whole lot of love in my country. Father, I pray for the police. Please inspire them to keep the peace. Oh, Father. I pray for the judge and the jury and those who begging for them mercy. Oh, Father. I pray and I pray. I pray for the good and the bad man. I pray and I pray. For the whole nation.
Yes, listeners, we will pray for the whole of the nation, and the nation does not only mean Grenada. It is Grenada, Carapan, Petit Martinique, all on sundry. So as I said, I have my guest in studio already, and I'll go straight on and greet my guest and say good morning to you, sir, and how are you?
Good morning, and I'm doing fine, thanks. What about you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm happy. Whenever I have my seniors in studio with me, I am blessed. And of course, regardless of the department, it's no exception.
Right.
And I think it's my very first time having you in studio on the conversation with the RGPF. So I say welcome, and I hope that would not be the final, even if it's not you in person, but with your department. It's my second time with your department.
Of course.
We are more than delightful. So I know my listeners is wondering, I know his face. I wonder who he is. So just take a minute and tell our listeners who you are and greet our listeners.
All right. Good morning to the listening and viewing public. My name is Dexter Roberts, and I'm an inspector of police attached to the Grenada Coast Guard. And this morning I'm here to speak to you on sea safety, safety at sea, and how to make yourself safe at sea, especially during this Easter season when a number of persons tend to go to the beach and have fun. So we'll be discussing that this morning.
Right. So tell me, Inspector, how long have you been in the service and attached to the Coast Guard Department?
I've been in too long, but well, I joined the RGPF in 1992.
Okay.
Yeah, so cumulatively it's over 30 years of service, with one or two little breaks in between, but
Right.
but yeah, so I've been in for quite a while.
And what about your experience at Coast Guard?
Well, for the most part, my experience at the Coast Guard has been, a tremendous one. Coast Guard has given me quite a bit, and by extension, the RGPF. I think I am who I am today as an adult because of Coast Guard and all of the training and opportunities that the Coast Guard would have afforded me over the years.
Right.
So, in my opinion, it's the best department to work in the RGPF, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Inspector, there are other persons listening you and they would say, Inspector, you can come back to the capital.
No, that's just my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, then. I think they would accept that because
Yes.
it's subjective.
Yes, of course.
So tell me, in regards to Coast Guard, I often that Coast Guard is just there, but I know you all have your task cut out. What is your main function and operation of Coast Guard?
Well, Coast Guard main function is saving lives. You understand? Our motto is we serve to save. So our primary function is life saving. So when persons are in distress out at sea, we are required to go out there. In whether it rains, it shines, it's rough, it's calm. We are required to go out there and render assistance. Also, since that we are the primary maritime law enforcement agency within the island, we are required to man our borders and ensure that our borders are safe and secure, especially with transnational crime and the transshipment of drugs that that happens. So apart from the safety at sea and the saving lives, we also have that mandate to man our borders and keep our borders secure from human smuggling, drug smuggling, and stuff like that. Yeah.
As the inspector or one of the inspectors at Coast Guard with all of that experience, do you have any specialty in that department?
Yes, I am trained as a navigator. So my background is navigation. So and that's basically where you take a ship or a vessel from point A to point B, and you do all the plotting and whatever it entails to get the ship there safely and back.
Right. So as you say that, I think I'll go right into and throw the first question at you. You speak of navigate, your specialty being navigating, and as a navigator, from a personal experience standpoint or advice, what would you say to especially our young men who think that I am accustomed to what we call the little fishing vessels, and it's holiday time and the sea is nice, so I can leave from point A and go to point B without thinking twice as to safety mechanism on board. Because if I'm in Subies and I look towards my north, I am seeing Grenville, so I can get there. Okay. In terms of navigation, what advice do you have for them?
Well, navigation in itself is the regular fisherman, the regular boat owner. Is not required to have that level of navigational training that I have. And what you find happening is that the local boat operators, they have what is called local knowledge.
Right.
They do not go to any school or training institution to learn navigation. They know the area, so they do that. But with regards to safety, whenever you're venturing out at sea, whenever we try to impress on the boat operators that first and foremost ensure that your vessel is seaworthy, right? You must know the condition of your vessel, whether it is safe to go there, it is taking on water, whatever the case may be. Is your engine, is it operational? Is it working properly? Right? So also fuel. Ensure that you have sufficient fuel to take you to point A, point B, and then back to shore. Because too often you find boat operators just jump in their vessel and they go to sea not having an awareness of the amount of fuel that they have, and then they go there and the fuel finish on them. So also life jackets, critical. For whatever reason, and we had some experiences a couple of years back when a vessel was leaving Sotes up to Carriacou and it overturned, and a number of persons would have died. So it is critical to have your life jackets, have your life vests, and if you're on the vessel, you should have them on, wearing. Not have them up in the bow or sitting on, because in case of an emergency, it may be difficult to get to it. So we advise them to, once you're on the vessel, put on your life jacket. Right. Have it on you, because in case you happen to go overboard, you already have it. Have it on. Also, let someone know where you're going. Too often, fishermen, boat operators, they leave and they go out to sea and they don't tell anyone where. They're meeting some difficulty, or they've been gone for a couple of hours, no return. No one knows where they are. We even advise them, especially the fishermen, to inform the Coast Guard. Call the Coast Guard. 399 is our emergency number. Call the Coast Guard and let us know that, hey, I'm going to fish. I'm going, by that piece of rock there, and I intend to come back at 3 o'clock. So we have an idea in case something goes wrong, where to begin our search.
In light of that last advice that you all give to fishermen, do you really get compliance with that?
Well, unfortunately, they don't call us prior to leaving the show. They don't call us. We get a call when they're out there and they have a difficulty and stuff like that. Or sometimes they might be at a location where they do not get any cell service. So someone on shore who knows that they're supposed to be back by a particular time and they have not returned, then they would call us and let us know that James or John went out to sea since morning. He was supposed to come back, and look at the time now and he hasn't returned. Where has he gone to? They don't know. Yeah, so.
So on average per day a week, how much of those, I want to term it as domestic fishing calls that you all get for rescue?
Well, we do not get, on a daily basis, we do not really get them on a daily basis. Right. But let's say maybe for a week, we might get maybe one or two per week, per week. And I think maybe one of the reasons for the limited number of calls is because of the awareness program that the Coast Guard would have undertaken over the years. So we would have gone to the different fishing communities, the different fishing villages, the different sites where fishermen are, and train them. We have lectures and workshops with them in terms of sea safety and navigation and all them other stuff like that. So I want to believe over the years, cumulatively, that would have, sensitized them enough to maybe take some safety precautions.
Right. So let's get back to the day-to-day safety measures that one would, or from your expertise and department, that you would want to advocate to our youngsters or persons in general for the Easter season, because it's Easter, it's holiday, like it or not, and it's seemingly the thing when there is holiday, it's festival. It's time for people to just have a good time regardless to the nature of the holiday. But it's a norm that on Easter season that our beaches are heavily utilized for various social moments. What advice you have to persons or families who choose to take their entire family out to sea sighting or just camping or recreation purposes?
Yeah, good question. And historically, if we were to look back historically, around festive season, whether it be regattas in Carriacou, or especially here in Grenada, the Easter the Easter weekend, there always, on a regular basis, someone drunk, right? On one of our beaches in Grenada, someone always tend to get, to drunk during the time. And so for for this season, for this Easter weekend, we hope that no one gets, in a difficulty where they, they will lose their life. So that's the reason why I'm here today. So if you were to the beach with your family, what we are saying to you, or what I'm saying to you now, is that what's your consumption of alcohol? First and foremost, because it's a festive mood and everyone is, eating and drinking. What's your consumption of alcohol? And if you are consuming alcohol, to the point where you get, drunk, or you lose control of yourself, avoid going into the water to bathe. Right. Avoid doing that. Or if you choose to go, have someone pay attention to you while you are there. Because it's critical, because once you are under the influence of alcohol, your whole, coordination and stuff sometimes tends to be, go away. So we just advise persons to be mindful of the amount of alcohol you drink for the season, and then go into the water to bathe. Know your limit in terms of your ability to swim, right? If you are not a strong swimmer, if you cannot swim, do not try to go to the beach and show off and go into deep water where you cannot, stand, or you cannot swim, and young persons especially maybe tend to impress their friends, peer pressure, whatever the case may be, and might try to venture out into waters where they cannot swim or they're not comfortable. So we advise them not to do that. If it was a group, designate somebody as a lifeguard to watch over the others while they bathe. Even adults with children, very, very careful that you pay attention to your children at all times. You can have a wave that just come and just sweep them out, and tutus, they're gone. So it is critical to be vigilant, right? Vigilant, for the kids, the children, especially because, they tend to run around and play quite a bit, and, so it's important that that person going to the beach be mindful of those things. Also, if you were to eat, let's say you had lunch, you eat some food, do not immediately go to the water and bathe, because your stomach will be full and you will be kind of lethargic, the body is trying to digest that food, and your muscles need energy and stuff to swim, So it's let the food rest for a little while, and then you can go and swim. So it is critical. It is critical, and a lot of the tips that I'm giving, a lot of it is on you, the individual, right? It's on you. Someone else cannot make you safe on the beach. It is you have to make yourself safe on the beach. So don't depend on someone else to make you safe while you're out there. So it's
But I think you give a snippet on almost all of the mishaps that happens around the festive time, and they say why someone would have drowned. But let us just piggyback a bit on the family that intends to go to the beach and with their children. And when I speak of children, I'm just talking specifically here to minors.
Right.
And for some reason, as an adult or the elder within that little grouping, you realize that a child or a family member is missing or disappear. What advice do you have for them in terms of raising an alarm that my child or someone within my family that may have some disability or challenge is missing from my grouping?
Well, I guess the only thing that you can do is to shout,
Right.
is to make a large, hue and cry, and a lot in the vicinity that your child is missing, and maybe indicate the last place where you see or where the child was or where they were seen. So you can start from that point. Now, if a child went into the water and the child maybe went underneath and didn't come up, then I guess such can start there. And generally, most of the times you have persons on the beach who are strong swimmers, divers, or whatever the case may be. And they would pitch in. They would pitch in and lend a hand to maybe dive around and see what is happening. But that's why it is important. You as a parent having kids, young children, there should be no instance, especially on the beach, where there should be especially when they're playing close to the water or in the water, they must be supervised at all times.
Right. So parents, guardians, I want you to pay specific attention to that. And please don't say, well, he's 13, 14, or she's 13, 14, 12, 10, 9, 8. She's big enough to take care of herself. Because indirectly, the inspector has said it, peer pressure. When they go out there with their friends and they want to impress and say, I could, and if you do it, I can do it too. And that is where 99% of the time we have those mishaps with our young ones, and it's too late. Oftentimes it is always too late by the time some form of help or assistance is given, because the grouping that they are in normally panic themselves, even if they are strong swimmers or there are persons among them that can swim. So the inspector had reminded you, because most of those things he said, you know it, but when you hear it from quote unquote the horse's mouth, it always stick and stay. Yes, John Mills will say good morning, and Louisa Williams, thank you for listening. And of course, we are trying to do our bit in our small corner. So what we'll do at this time, we'll take a brief break. We'll go into a commercial break at this time. And when we get back, right back in with the conversation with the RGPF. And it is in studio with me, Inspector Roberts from the Grenada Coast Guard Department. And of course, we know every festive time, they are more than important. They are needed. And I beg of you to pay heed to all of the tips and guidelines that he is giving here this morning. He spoke strongly about alcohol. And when he touched the alcohol, you know what came to my mind? Traffic. It is that time of the year too. So if you know you're going to be drinking, stay away from the vehicle. And if you're going to be drinking, you and the water should not be partners. You should not be the one maneuvering that fishing boat or that vessel from point A to point B. So it's just reminders. But let us take a brief into our commercial and we'll be right back.
$100 for seniors and under 17 is free. All teams will be able to register at least 20 players. All players must have their uniform and must be numbered. Contact 538-7509 or 406-9580. Football under the lights. Saturday, February 3rd on April 30th. Rosa Plainfield, St. Patrick's. Be there.
Third-party outages are caused by parties external to Grand Lake. Kite flying is one of the major causes of third-party outages also.
Kite flying over the years has proven to be an issue that has created many outages on our systems.
This Easter, Grand Lake would like you to keep your kite in, use an open area with no overhead power lines. Avoid personal injury through electric shock. Avoid damaging property and causing inconvenience through power outages. Avoid tradition safely. Avoid damage and injury.
Lifeguard Organization for Development will be hosting the annual River Fiesta from Saturday 30th March to Friday April 5th, 2024. The theme, engaging in community development to elevate and participate as a people. Saturday, March 30th, official opening ceremony and health fair at Riverside Government School from 10 a.m. with Medical Friends of Grenada. Easter Sunday, March 31st, Mr. Lifeguard King Show at 5:30 p.m. Venue, Riverside Government School. Featuring Mr. Alan Francois, Mr. Valine Joseph, Mr. Paul Peters, Mr. Kimon Henry, Mr. Fitzroy George, the Frog. Tickets are only $20 to be purchased on the day of the show. Monday, April 1st, Easter Monday, Family Fun Day and a picnic at Bathway and Swavan Swayze beaches. Tuesday, April 2nd, Pediatric Healthcare Clinic, Savon Swayze at 10 a.m. Reading competition at 3 p.m. Midweek party at Sir John Tobin Place at 9 p.m. Wednesday, April 3rd, traditional night T2020 cricket match, social gathering and live music at Riverside Playing Field and bleachers from 6 p.m. Thursday, April 4th, Riverside Archie Church Harvest at 2 p.m. Venue, Riverside Government School Grounds. Friday, April 5th, Saraka, Tilingo, Nation Dance and closing ceremony all day, all over the community.
Yes, he will hear our prayer and he will hear our cry. But you know, as usual, when we get comfortable, our time run out on us. And there is lots for us to say to you. So while Ajamu is saying that we need to cry out, the RGPF for this Easter weekend, also wants to remind you of the intention and mission for this weekend, Easter weekend. And as a means of doing that, we want to ensure that all activities during the Easter weekend is incident free and there is no traffic violation. But if there is any, we are there to address same. So the RGPF, Commissioner, and every rank and file, it is the intention and mission for this Easter weekend that all activities, and when you speak of activities, whether it's parties, shows, name it, is incident free and there is no traffic violation. But in the event that there is, we are there to serve you as per usual. Some of the current that we as RGPF foresee that is likely to happen, and we're asking persons to protect themselves. Of course, we have that issue that in terms of gang violence and also that of gun violence. We have some issues with robbery. And of course, there is that issue of the consumption of alcohol and noise pollution. And noise pollution now does not only speak to having activities with from the relevant or competent authority. We also have young men in particular nowadays allowing the motor vehicle to be a DJ, and you need to apply for permission to do that. Failure to do that, you can be charged either under the traffic regulation or under the Noise Pollution Act, and it is zero tolerance. So I want to ask and advise persons, please. We also asking persons to be cautious of some of the offenses that are likely to be committed within a festive time. And Easter weekend is no exception, and that is that when we speak to serious harm offenses, yes, the involvement of weapon and an offensive weapon is anything that is adapted for the purpose, right? So we want to advise you to protect yourself strongly against every form of harm offenses, disorderly behavior, this misconduct, right? We also have some issues of threatening language, possession of offensive weapon, as I said earlier on, and I did allude to the fact of possession and usage of firearm. We want to ask you, please, I'm begging you, citizen colleagues all, that you be at your best behavior. Then we also have the traffic infractions. We have road accidents, we have unlicensed, uninsured motor vehicles. And I want to say to you, motorists and motor vehicle owners, there would be zero tolerance from Eastern Division, and of course spread through the island for persons caught driving or operating a motor vehicle that is uninsured, unlicensed, and you yourself does not have them, right? We want to beg you. Yes, let me remind you that the breathalyzers are there and they are still in force and they are authorized persons to maneuver it, so it would be used. And if you are found driving under the consumption of alcohol, it is an offense within the traffic regulation, and even that of the devices like the cell phone, a means of device that you intend to use, right? So we go right back into Coast Guard, and as we go along, I would pop in you, our listeners, to protect yourself for and to be on the guard for the Easter weekend. But it is our intention and our mission, listeners, to protect you for the Easter weekend, and you yourself need to protect yourself. So we're asking you, please, to help us to help you. All right? Yes. So we still do have Inspector Roberts in studio with us. And before we jump off, he was just speaking to the fact that a family go out on the beach with the entire family and there are minors involved and there is a mishap. What do you do? But in light of that, I am aware that Pathway has lifeguard, and there is also the flags erected telling you areas that are safe. I'm not a beach person per se, but what advice do you have for persons in general, not just families, but persons in general wanting to go out and spend their Easter on the beach or beaches? What advice you have for them in terms of that moment?
Well, what I would say to them is that if you were to go to a beach, or if you are going to a beach, choose a beach that has a lifeguard on station. And because the lifeguards are trained persons with regards to rescuing persons in distress, maybe from drowning or whatever the case may be. So you have that assurance that in the unforeseen circumstance that something happens, whether it be to you or someone else, that the lifeguard, someone is there that would render some assistance. It is also important that once you get there, engage the lifeguard in terms of have a conversation with the lifeguard with regards to the requirements, or what is in place with regards to safety. You mentioned things like there are some flags that are normally put up, and different color flags, and in different areas. These flags are there for a reason, and they give warnings, about certain things. So if you're familiar with what the flags entails, it is best that you speak to the lifeguard, and he will explain that to you. So at least you have an idea as to where you should go, where you should not go. And if you see this flag, then it means that that condition is happening. So, like I said earlier on, your safety, your safety on the beach is entirely up to you. That is your responsibility to make yourself safe and put yourself in a situation where no adverse harm would come to you. So it's important that you avail yourself of as much information as possible, that you are aware of what is happening. You remain alert at all times, especially family carrying minors along with them. Now, the Coast Guard itself would be out patrolling. Generally we patrol the beaches and stuff like that. We would not be on the shore, in the crowd, but we're going to be out at sea, and just have a Coast Guard presence. So in case anything happens, then we can respond. And do not overload vessels. If a vessel can safely hold 5 persons, don't put 10. Don't put 10. Because what it does, once you overload a vessel, its stability, its ability to sit, properly and safely in the water, that changes. So any little, rough water, any little, big wave tend to capsize that vessel. So it is critical that you have the capacity that your vessel can carry, and do not overload the vessel.
Right. So you said of the Coast Guard being out at sea doing their patrol, and for the safety of all. Let's say that I'm out there, I'm not a fisher folk, but there is some mishap that I notice, or I got some information. As a citizen, how do I make contact with Coast Guard?
You can call Coast Guard. It's a free call. Or you can call us on 444-1931 or 1932. These are our numbers. And there is someone sitting there 24 hours a day manning those telephones. Right. Also, out at sea, if you're out at sea and you have marine radios, you can call Coast Guard on channel 16. So we there's someone, like I say, 24 hours that mans all the radios and telephones. Or you can call the 911 police headquarters if you cannot get the Coast Guard, and then they will call the Coast Guard and give us whatever information as to where we need to respond and how we need to respond.
Right. So let us look now. Now that I made a call, or I'm intending to make a call, because there is some emergency at sea that I believe Coast Guard is needed for. What are some of the information that I need to have transit to Coast Guard?
Right, good question. So first and foremost, what is the nature of your emergency? Whether someone fell and they're missing, you didn't see them, whether your vessel is on fire, whether you have a medical medical condition where someone be evacuated from the well, whatever. So we need to know that, so we know how to respond, what sort of ancillary equipment that we need to carry with us when we're going. Also, we need to know your location. Critical. If we do not know where you are, we cannot come and and render any assistance to you. So basically, your location, your position, and the nature of your emergency. Right. Once we have that, we can work with that. We can work with that. Yeah.
So I'm hearing my listeners saying, "Well, officer, I am not a sea person. I got information that my friend or loved one, they went to, God forbid, Bathway or Rivera Beach, and has been there all along, and now we're ready to leave. We're not seeing him or her. Would that suffice to assist you with location or so?"
So the thing is, that person could be on land as well as at sea. Now, if they venture out at sea and they didn't return, then that's something that the Coast Guard need to respond to. But if they go to the beach and they're there, and after a while,
they're out in the water.
Oh, they're out in the water. Well, fine. Yeah. So so at least we have a general area outside Bathway, outside Rivera. They they went into the water and they have not come out. They haven't returned. So fine, we can work with that. So what we can do, we have a number of different such techniques that we can use for different sort of emergencies. So we'll just employ the best one and start making some searches. So the current is running and stuff like that, because generally if the current is flowing in a particular direction, whatever is there tend to move along with the current. So once we have an appreciation of the direction of the current, we can do our searches in that area.
As with every department and institution, there are limitations. I do not want you to tell me this morning your limitations, but with your limitations and considering that this weekend would be a more hectic Easter weekend for us, because we have normal persons who would come into Grenada for the Easter.
That's right.
And then we have Crifta, which would lend to other students or persons from other Caribbean islands that are participating probably here with their family members and wants to go to the beach or utilizing the beach, or even some of our pools based on where they are residing. Generally, does the same rule that applies to the beach, does it apply to the sea and pool? And if not, what safety mechanism or advice you would give to persons who want to utilize the pool?
It is generally the same procedure for the sea and for the pool, because it's water, right? And drowning is one of the the major incident that you expect, either in the pool or sea, where persons would venture into water where they cannot swim, where persons maybe try to be under the influence of, not try to be, but persons who are under the influence of alcohol, and they cannot control themselves, and they get in a pool and and they drown, same as in the sea. So minors, especially around like babies, little children around pool, sometimes tend to fall into the pool. So that's why it is also important that if you are having an activity, whether at sea or around a pool, you must have parental supervision. Always have parental supervision, and do not go into water where you cannot swim. If you're comfortable with water up to your knees, stay in the water up to your knees. Not because you see your friend over in the 10 feet of water swimming, you want to go there too. Try to resist peer pressure. As how I saying, stay in your lane. You understand? Stay in your lane. You understand? Be comfortable to stay in an area where that that's where you're safe.
Right.
If the water has to come and meet you on the shore, let the water come and meet you on the shore. Yeah.
Well, of course, Inspector, as per usual, our hour runs off on us. But what I'll do, I'll just go into some general information that I would like to give to our listeners. And in the meantime, I will come back to you for you to just leave that summation or your closing remarks so that persons can remember some of the safety tips and mechanisms they need to utilize for the Easter season. All right? So listeners, we are still on with you with the conversation with the RGPF. And of course, this morning we try to give you a twofold approach as it regards for the Easter season and the Easter weekend. It is a Easter weekend where we know it is not a normal Easter weekend because we have Carifta, which has not happened for a couple of years. But I want to advise persons, please do not drop your guard, and you realize that Coast Guard and the land has similar safety mechanism because the inspector spoke to the consumption of alcohol, he spoke to the consumption of food, and how do you go to the sea. And it's the same when you're on the land and you have to maneuver certain vehicles or certain activities that you have to take place in. So those of you who have your church social and other group social, we want to encourage you. You cannot be participating in athletic events and your stomach is filled, or you consume alcohol and you want to be driving. But those of you who wants to have activities for the Easter weekend, bear in mind you must, as long as you want to play amplified music, have permission to do so, and don't just send in your application and take it for granted that it was granted. You need to come back to the police or contact where you make that application to ensure that same was granted. And if granted, that document, your permission, must always be at the activity while the activity is ongoing. Additionally, you must ensure that you comply with all of the rules that is stipulated in your permission, and you must have your liquor license intact or updated. We also want to advise persons who want to consume alcohol that you should have a designated driver, and all of the offenses that is prevalent. And I highlighted some of them in terms of our current threat, and that is threatening language, harm offenses, damage to property, violent behavior, and other general antisocial behavior. I want to speak a bit to our family. Remember, it is that time of the year, when festive time, when they can have increase on upsurge in domestic violence and sexual offenses. We want to ask parents and guardians, please, to protect your young ones. And when they do complain, don't take it for granted. Please make a report. You have Child Protection Authority, you have the Ministry of Social Development, and of course you have RGPF. We are there to help you through a time or process of that nature. Those of you who have information as it regards to offensive weapon, gun, firearm, and ammunition, we ask you to come in and let's have a conversation. Give us the information so we can deal with it. Unlicensed motor vehicle, uninsured motor vehicle, and driving or maneuvering a vehicle without being the relevant license holder or even the holder of a license, that would not be tolerated, and if found, you will be prosecuted. Let me reiterate: offensive weapon, zero tolerance towards it, and every offense or report made of threatening language will be dealt with as if the offense or the act were committed. We want to ask all and sundry that you please pay particular attention. And if there is any question, doubts, or clarification, feel free to contact any station within your living environment or where your activity will be held. And if you're having an activity based on the nature of it, it do not hurt to inform the police station within that area where that activity will be taking place. We go right back to our inspector, our guesting program, and it has been a wonderful program, but I will ask of him to leave his general remarks with you this morning.
All right, well, thank you for having me. And we are the Coast Guard. We take the every opportunity that we get to sensitize the public on safety in general, not only around Easter time, but as we are in the Easter season, it's important that we observe certain safety precautions when we are utilizing the beaches or pools or rivers, lakes, as the case may be. So it's common sense things that we need to be aware of, things that we know that we should not be doing. For example, drinking alcohol and want to go and swim and stuff like that. Also, overloading vessels. Peer pressure for the younger folks. Leaving minors unattended, especially around water. Parents sometimes tend to get caught up in the drinking and the partying and the revelry, and they do not pay attention to their children, especially close to bodies of water. So whether it be river or the sea or lakes or even pool, because you can drown in a pool just as if you can just as you can in the sea or the river. So it's important that we observe those safety tips. If there are lifeguards on the beaches, talk to them and observe whatever precaution that they put in place for this, because certain conditions might change. The sea condition might change from 1 hour to the next. So they would indicate if it is safe to go beyond a certain point or where to be, as the case may be. So pay attention to the lifeguards. If you have any doubts, queries, or whatever, speak to them, and then they will be able to give you information. The Coast Guard will be on. So we will be out patrolling, and there are some small boat operators who also around that time tend to take the opportunity to drive recklessly close to the beach among the bathing public. We have seen it happen many calls about it many times. So for the young guys, generally it is the younger folks. We are appealing to you that if you are to operate your boat, do it out and away from the bathing and swimming persons, because we want to avoid all accidents from happening.
Okay. So thank you so much, Inspector. And this has been your program, The Conversation with the RGPF. I urge you to stay safe for the Easter weekend. God bless you. Have a wonderful one. See you next time. Another conversation, The Conversation with the RGPF. Bye for now. Have a wonderful week.
Focused on delivering presentations effectively, language, voice and body language, and time management. In 2023, the Grand Lake debate format was changed to impromptu, promote students' critical thinking and communication skills, as well as boost their self-confidence. In the region, in Trinidad and Tobago,